Hi, I'm Antoinette, and welcome to Be Your Best. Today's episode is going to be all about sabotage and success and what you're doing possibly wrong in your journey to become healthier and on your diet. But first, before we dig in, let me introduce my co-host, Alan.
Hey, everybody, and good morning. Yeah, what are you doing wrong that's destroying your diet? Let's find out right after our intro. Okay, so as everybody knows, and we've said many, many times, I started down this journey just now 47 days ago, fasting and dieting. And well, it's not really dieting, it's more lifestyle change, but it's been working great for me. But there are things that can sabotage it, and it's things that people don't even realize they're doing. So, for instance...
Yeah, well, I think maybe we should break it up into like categories. So like the first thing I'm thinking of is there's mental things you could do that are wrong. So one thing that I think is a lot of people chase losing weight, where you really should chase increasing your health, like getting healthier.
Right, exactly.
If you get healthier, weight loss, if you're overweight, is going to be part of that journey. But sometimes when you're chasing losing weight, you make the wrong decisions in that mindset because you're just thinking, if you're doing things that are making your health in the back burner, in the end, it's not helping you. You know, it could be bad for your hormones or bad for your body, and
most people, I think you agree, most people are doing this chasing the calories thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't even look at the calorie number when I'm eating. It's the fat content, the proteins, and all of that. Yeah. Chasing calories is a waste of time.
Yeah.
I think it boils down a lot to the misinformation that we get, mostly from our medical community. I can remember when I was first diagnosed with type 2 and went to the doctor, and they gave me medication, and they put me on a 1,500 calorie a day diet. But that's all they said. Keep it at 1,500.
Yeah. So you could eat chocolate until you hit the 1,500.
About what foods we should change to improve it along with it.
Right.
So chasing calories doesn't do anything. I think what Antoinette said was correct. If you're on a proper diet, a good healthy diet, okay, which you don't starve on,
right?
Most of the foods really still taste good, though I know Alan and I have a hard time with that taste because one of the things that hit us when we got COVID. We don't get it all back yet. But if you're on the healthy diet that you guys have been talking about, calories are unimportant.
Yeah.
Eventually, I mean, if you're extremely overweight, you might look at some of that part of it. But the first thing is to get the health part in line.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's one of those things in other episodes, we'll deep dive in other categories, but you'll have two people that will eat the exact same thing, and one can lose weight on it and other will gain. And there are things that do affect your metabolic rate and how you burn calories and stuff like that. But like Mike said, it's just important to start with the quality of food. You know, don't worry about the number, start with the quality food and worry about your health, not calories in, calories out.
Right.
But, you know, odds are, and this is something that I think people, especially if you're one of those like cyclical fad dieters, you know, where you just went through this whole thing of you restrict yourself and then you can't take it anymore. Maybe you lose 10 pounds and you feel really good. And then, you know, you go back to eating the way you used to eat. Now you balloon up and you gain 15. And it's this constant cycle. So your metabolic rate is so low. And in those instances, just worry about eating healthy foods. Like, it's more important at this, rather than worry about weight, get in foods that are rich in vitamins and minerals and nutrition, healthy fats, proteins, you know, and get rid of like those sugary carbs and stuff like that. And not all strides are going to be on a scale.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. And it's important because, you know, I've lost now 37 pounds. I'm 2 pounds away from my personal goal weight, and I can't wait to get there because I haven't been to my personal goal weight that I set up for myself. Nothing, you know, I didn't look into books to find out what my BMI, body mass index, is supposed to, actually, my body mass index is supposed to be 170 pounds. And I believe if I weighed 170 pounds and turned sideways, I'd blow away in the wind. But, so I'm going for 190. But the thing of it is, not once in losing all the weight that I've lost, which was a side effect of the diet and not a goal that I had. My goal was reversing diabetes.
Yeah.
Is I've never looked at the calories, but I changed all of the food I ate. And, I've actually spoken to some people recently that have started into a keto diet, and they made almond flour pancakes, which are good, better than, regular wheat bread. But then they put maple syrup on it.
Oh, God.
And that's what, you just kill the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worthless. And so you have to know what you're eating. So it's important to get a little bit of education, which improves your mental outlook on what you're doing. So you're not questioning everything and running around thinking, wow, I'm doing great, when you're doing nothing. It's like when we spoke the other day about ending a fast with a watermelon.
Yeah.
It just...
Well, you really hit a really good point, is a lot of times when people go, okay, I'm going to go low carb or I'm going to go keto. So they try to eat the exact same way they're eating and just substitute keto friendly foods. Like, oh, I used to have a chocolate bar every day after dinner, but I'm going to have a keto bomb or a fat bomb chocolate.
Right.
This is what's sabotaging you. Like, what you really need to do, and is just concentrate on whole foods that are healthy, not these, processed stuff. I mean, they've done studies, like really scientific-based studies, where they broke up people into two different categories. And one was processed foods and the other was whole foods. And they, everything was the same. And then all macronutrients, stuff like that. So it wasn't like one was heavier in protein, whatever.
Right.
But on average, the group eating processed foods ate 500 to 600 extra calories a day more. And I know we're like, calories aren't necessarily calories in, calories out, but you're eating more, and it's not because you need those calories. It's just because
the stuff is junk to start with.
It's junk. It's processed junk food, which it messes up with your satiety, that bliss point that they create in food, where you can keep eating and eating and eating. And in these studies, then they switch the groups. So you can't even go, oh, well, this one had a bunch of, whatever, people with hypermetabolism. They would switch them, and they got the exact same results from the other group. So it basically proved itself. So you need to stick to whole foods, and you got to stop with these, like, if you're not supposed to eat grains, don't eat pseudo grains. You know what I mean? Right. Find things that you enjoy that aren't grain or grain-like, or you're trying, like, it's one thing if you use like almond flour, maybe it's your birthday and you want to have a cake.
Right.
And then you do it. But not like, hey, this is what I'm going to have for breakfast from now on.
No, you can't do that. In fact, one of the things that's the quickest and easiest way to sabotage you is to do things like, you have to change your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Bacon and eggs in the morning is fantastic. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I eat it quite often.
Yeah.
But you go bacon and eggs and a piece of toast, boom.
Yeah.
The toast has sabotaged it. And if you're thinking, well, I'm only going to have one piece of toast instead of two, or I'm going to put butter on the toast instead of jelly or whatever preserve, you've still sabotaged the whole thing. Once you've eaten that piece of toast, it's over.
Yeah.
You've destroyed the rest of the meal.
Yeah.
But people don't understand they're sabotaging themselves that way. And it's like we discussed a while ago, the food pyramid. The food pyramid is like, eat the wrong thing from the peak to the base.
Yeah.
And
turn it upside down, and you're way better off. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
And again, we're bombarded by the marketing. Now the keto and carnivore is more popular because of that. You see all these things in the grocery stores, keto friendly this, keto friendly that. Well, if you really read the labels, they're not friendly at all.
No.
They're just designed to trick you to say this is okay.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Again, it becomes our personal responsibility to really check into it, research it. It takes some time, takes some effort. You want to live a happy life? It's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I went out to dinner the other day. I haven't been out to dinner for a few months. I went out to dinner the other day because my wife and I just needed to get out of the house. And I asked the lady, do you have any keto style or closer to keto style things on the menu? She had no idea what I was talking about. So I just chose the things off the menu. I had a piece of steak. I had a little chunk of broccoli with it, and drank some water. I didn't drink soda or anything because that's another instant way to sabotage everything.
Yeah.
And we created, for me, a meal that I could eat with. It was perfect. It was great. But if you go out to a restaurant and you order a meal off the menu, say you get steak and say you get, a little side piece of broccoli, and then you drink a Coke, or worse, a Diet Coke, which is what I used to drink, you might as well just order anything on the menu and just forget it, because you easily can sabotage yourself. And I had a person the other day make a comment on a Facebook post, and they said, you might have lowered your blood sugar with all this, but you're still type 2 diabetic.
What?
Yeah. And so I responded back, and I said, well, first off, and actually, Mike, you gave me the response to give. I said, first off, if you ever smoked in your life and then you quit, you're still a smoker. You're just not smoking. And if you ever been an alcoholic in your life and you quit, you're still an alcoholic, even though you're not drinking. And
so what if you're fat and you lose weight, you're still fat?
But I looked it up, and if you catch your type 2 diabetes early, like, in other words, you haven't been type 2 diabetic for 50 years and destroyed all your organs to start with, then there's an 80% chance of full remission and reversal. So, yeah, you can reverse it. You just have to continue to make the right choices. And if I were to get everything straightened out, which I'm almost there, and then turn around and start, eating food made in a box and throw it in the microwave, I'll be back to where I was quickly. It's a lifestyle change, and it's so easy to sabotage it. It's so easy to walk by the dessert counter and go, oh boy, that looks good.
Yeah,
but you can't.
But I think maybe let's talk about some hidden ways that people don't realize. So I think another thing is people think they're being really good. Like, I'm going to have steak and I'm going to have, maybe broccoli on the side, but then they get some sauce to put on the steak. So everything that you put in your mouth has calories. So a lot of times when it comes to these flavorings or things that you think you're making the meat more palatable or your vegetables more palatable, they have a lot of, carbs or hidden carbs in there, and they do unnatural things with your taste buds. Like, you're almost making it harder for yourself to just enjoy a steak by itself. Like, if you just have a good steak and salt it, it's delicious. Add butter or something like that. It doesn't need all this stuff on it. And if you don't find it enjoyable, then find a different cut of meat or a different something. I mean, if you have to mask it under something, these are ways that you sabotage yourself. Or same thing if having black coffee is disgusting to you, but, I'm going to add this little sweetener and it's a vanilla flavored, but it's 0 calories. For some people, they can do that. Other people, no, it's triggering all sorts of taste buds. Like you had that thing that we discussed.
Cephalic response.
Last week. These are ways you're sabotaging yourself. Same thing with Diet Coke. A lot of people think, it's Diet Coke. It's a Diet Coke. Even if you don't have the cephalic response, there's people that have all sorts of just metabolic responses where I knew this one person that actually got lupus from drinking Diet Coke. It's the one thing she eliminated, and she got rid of lupus. So, I mean, you might not have lupus, but it could be the reason why you're not losing that 5 pounds or why you wake up. It's not normal to wake up and feel like crap.
Oh, and then you have things like like people with irritated bowel syndromes and stuff like that think, I got to knock off the meat and only eat vegetables.
No, and that's the worst thing for it.
Yes, and the high fiber in the vegetables just binds everything up 10 times worse. 10 times worse. But people don't realize they're sabotaging themselves, health, metabolically, and mentally when they do things like that.
And you got to also look at the preparation of stuff. It's not just putting the sauces on after the steak is ready. I know my grandpa used to say when people would put MSG, which is a meat tenderizer, he's saying, well, what do you think it's doing to your body?
Yeah.
Okay. Our meat inside is not a whole lot different than that meat in the cow, right?
Right.
So if you're tenderizing that, you're tenderizing it. So preparation, you got to be careful on what you prep with.
Yes.
And then what you use afterwards.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
takes you making, again, that constant decision. You know, we've made a decision. You and I have been working on this. I've been at it a little longer. But our decision is we want to be around for our family. It's not just personal.
Well, I want to be around for my family, but I also don't want to be in the dirt. So, you know.
Well, but you're going to be in the dirt someday.
Yeah, I just don't need to
You want
hasten
to
it.
extend it. That's all. But, you know, give yourself a reason. And when you talk about you're not an alcoholic, you're not this, you're not that. When I explained to you about, you know, I was a 2-pack-a-day smoker. I quit 6 times before I finally did it. And finally, that was 43 years at least ago. And I know that I can't pick up a cigarette because it's inside of me, that thing. So I don't call myself a nicotine addict anymore, but I know that I've got to be careful on what I do.
Right.
Otherwise, it will have that effect on me.
And
when
the
I
whole
take that
point,
into our food now I'm getting a better understanding what to do there.
right.
Yeah.
And the whole point with reversing the diabetes and things like that is that I put myself in the position because I was eating crap all the time. I thought I was eating good. Well, no, I ate a lot of crap, but I occasionally thought I was eating good stuff. And, but I put myself there. So now that I'm taking myself out of that, yeah, if I go back to eat the crap that I was eating before, I will put myself back there. But that doesn't mean that once I've reversed it, I'm still type 2 diabetic. I'm not. Type 2 diabetic is identified by numbers.
Yeah.
And I don't have the numbers.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's so easy to sabotage yourself. I was talking with a person this morning who was talking about, well, they make their own, they eat Alfredo, some kind of noodles with Alfredo sauce on it. But I make my own Alfredo sauce, they said, and I put minimal sugar in it. Well,
Well,
I appreciate what the person was saying, but the second they put a little bit of sugar in it, you might as well just go buy it in the store because it's over.
yeah. Well, the pasta too.
Well, the pasta too, yes. Yeah, yeah. But that aside, you know,
Yeah.
even if the pasta was some kind of potentially super healthy pasta, whatever that might be.
Yeah. But I think you
can't.
bring up another good sabotage too, where people, I think, and I'm one of those, I love dairy. Like I could, you know, I would eat foods when I was little by like, what can I have with dairy? Like, was it milk and cookies? Was it cereal? Was it, you know, whatever. But I think people, when they go carnivore, they go too heavy on the dairy, or they think, oh, dairy's carnivore. It's not really meant to be a meal, more as like a condiment.
Right.
You know, so when you start making that like the main juxt of, and some people can't have any dairy. You might not even have an allergy, but I know for me, if I have dairy, I lose all track of hunger cues. Like I'll just keep wanting more and more and more. And it's not that I'm going to break out or have anything, but dairy is just one of those just slippery slopes that you could go down where all of a sudden you're eating more and more, and cheese, and you could throw cheese on anything and it's not going to register as like extra, you know, calories or weight, or it doesn't really do anything. It just makes you hungrier for a lot of people. So,
and that's an interesting point you brought up because, you know, originally, we were, you know, breast milk was what babies were raised on. And then once you were weaned off, most people naturally became lactose intolerant.
yeah.
But we've introduced so much dairy into our lives over the generations that people that are now, people can drink milk and eat cheese and everything much more than was able to eat before. And they're calling people that are lactose intolerant, you know, it's not lactose intolerant because that's what you were naturally before.
Yeah.
We've genetically changed ourselves to accept lactose.
But still, like, people don't realize, like, I don't know if it's like 2/3 or 3/4, something like that, of the world is still cannot have dairy. You know, like if in the United States, we're very limited because dairy's everywhere, but it's not normal. Like we're the only species that thinks it's normal to drink another animal's milk.
Yeah.
And when you look at dairy, like dairy is meant to take a little tiny calf and make it into this huge blown cow in a
Quickly.
short period of time. So it does have a lot of different things that are entirely different than a human being needs. So that's what when it comes to dairy, like, you're better off, if you're going to have dairy, stick to things that are more in the higher fat category, like butter, ghee, stuff like that. Not, let me have all this, like, lose the milk entirely. Like, there's so much lactose sugar in that. And,
Oh, yeah. It's
but
terrible.
people, even if they're not lactose intolerant, some people are casein intolerant, which is the protein in dairy. So it's not just the sugar, it's the proteins as well. So that might be, like I said, a trip up a sabotage. Another one that I think is lack of sleep. And people don't realize, when you don't get enough sleep, number one, that's when your body repairs. That's when your body loses weight. That's when, when you're running on empty, you just have a tendency to be hungrier. You want to eat more, and you could work out like crazy, but if you don't sleep at night, your body can't repair. Your body can't benefit from all those great things you did, and it's setting you up for sabotage.
And what's interesting, exactly what you were just saying, is that I weigh myself in the morning and I weigh myself at night, and I'm not on a weight loss thing, but now that I'm losing weight, I'm keeping track of it because I don't want to go overboard with it.
Yeah.
And during the day I gain weight because I'm eating and whatever, but if I get a good night's sleep, I actually lose weight sleeping.
Yeah.
No exercise. I'm not running up and going to the bathroom or anything, but I actually lose weight by sleeping because my body is metabolizing all the crap that I don't eat crap anymore, but all of the stuff that I had eaten. So sleep is extremely important. I unfortunately have over time fallen into the habit where I do about 5 hours sleep a night, and it's just the way it is. I try to sleep longer, but I can't lay in bed. It just drives me crazy. So I operate on about 5 hours. But in that 5 hours, I'm out. A nuclear bomb could go off by the bed, and I'd sleep through it.
In the sleep area too, when you're looking at, you need to have that pre-go to bed meal earlier.
Oh yeah, you can't eat and jump in bed. That's the worst thing.
I know that's where I gained most of my weight before I got on this program, because I was on the road 120, 130, 40 days a year.
That's why you're still married.
Well, yeah. No, you don't mind me being away? No, it's okay. But the key was, we'd eat, on business trips, you'd eat late.
Yep.
And go right to bed. So you didn't metabolize your food at all.
Yeah.
It just became, and we all know it. You don't really see it unless somebody points it out to you.
Right.
And I didn't see it until somebody showed me a picture of me. Said, "Oh,
that was a mirror."
Yeah, I would have believed it was. It was worse than a mirror, because I was standing with a good friend of mine who was thin, but you don't realize it.
Yeah.
You
No,
eat
you don't.
late. You're not eating the best to begin with, and you don't metabolize that food.
Yeah. I think that's a myth. A lot of, especially these people who are into intermittent fasting, and I have no problems with intermittent fasting. I don't like eating all day long. I typically eat in a shorter eating window, not just naturally. That's just what I
Right.
do. But a lot of people recommend, well, skip breakfast. It's so easy to skip breakfast. I prefer skipping dinner and eating earlier.
Exactly.
And it's actually much healthier, and you'll actually get better results because of that.
Yeah.
And the natural, like, biorhythms. I mean, if you're hungry, if you're not hungry when you wake up, don't force yourself. But to kind of wean that back early and earlier. Don't go by the misconception that skipping breakfast is the best meal to skip. I think that's more of a social thing where people think, oh, I could have dinner or I could whatever,
Yeah.
But,
and I actually now, I used to be like you, Mike, and I would eat. Our dinner time was between 8:30 and 9 o'clock at night,
wow.
and bedtime was 11. So it was everything was wrong about the whole thing. Now, if I haven't had dinner by 6, then I don't eat that night.
That's how I'm like that way, where if I don't eat by like 6, my hunger actually goes away. Like I don't even want it later. I'm just like, no, I'll just wait till tomorrow.
Right. Exactly. And that's the healthy way to do it.
Yeah. And I think another sabotage too is you got to plan ahead, So if you should have, like, if you're on, let's say, a certain regime, but you have, let's say, there's some busy days coming up, or you might just plan for what am I going to do when, stuff hits the fan. Like, you know what I mean? What's my backup plan when I don't have time to go to here for lunch or fix this, because if there's no plan in place, then you're stuck. And then next thing you see McDonald's and you know what I mean? So have a backup plan that, okay, if I don't have time to cook or do whatever, maybe have a go-to, fast food place that there's a keto friendly option, or
I actually, well, I'm going to tell a little secret.
Okay.
So now that I've started this, and I took something that you said a while ago very seriously, Antoinette, and that is during a fast, if you get really hungry, eat butter.
Uh-huh.
So I now, in the refrigerator here at the studio, have a box of butter. And because a lot of times I wake up in the morning and I'm not hungry at all. And I'm not going to eat if I'm not hungry. There's just no sense to.
Yeah.
But towards the afternoon, I start to get hungry and I don't have time to stop for lunch or whatever. Then I go into my refrigerator, into my little, by the way, if you guys ever open the fridge and you see some butter there with teeth marks in it, don't eat it. It's already been eaten.
He told me that the other day, and he said, because I was feeling, he says, well, I got my butter bites in there for you, but what he didn't explain what the bites were.
Yeah, there's
butter bites. Butter bites were just his teeth marks in a bar of butter.
But it works. You do that, and I owe you a great thanks for that. You take a bite of about a tablespoon of butter off the stick, and within 10-15 minutes, any hunger you have is gone.
Yeah,
it's the fat that satiates you.
Yeah, but those are the tricks. Like, learn those little tricks to kind of bring you back.
Yeah.
So I think there's one for, the high stress days. And the other thing is when you go over to someone's house, because what I found is I could have the greatest intentions to stay on a diet, but if you tell people like, oh, this is my new way of eating or whatever, people always try to convince you or guilt you or whatever. And what I found works the best is I just say, sorry, I'm allergic to, whatever. Like, I'm allergic to eating bad food, and I'll just, but
you don't want to insult them?
No, but but even at like a restaurant, like if I don't want stuff in vegetable oils, like you could make like a little dummy card. I mean, I could put it out there, but like you just hand it to your server, like, I'm allergic to these, please use butter, whatever. And then then you're making sure it's prepared correctly. Or if you go to your friend's house and they're pastaholic, just say, sorry, I can't have gluten. You're not saying why, you just say, I can't have gluten. And they're less likely to pressure you than, I gave up gluten because I'm trying. And then it's like, but I made it from scratch,
Yeah.
So you do definitely have to.
We have that box of gluten-free pasta. So what's your next reason?
I'm allergic to yellow.
Yeah. I don't eat processed foods. I don't have anything in a box.
Anything in a box. That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
And that's true. That's a sabotage thing right there, is eating stuff, mostly eating stuff from a box.
Yeah.
If it comes in a box, and if you read the ingredients and it's got words in there that you need a dictionary to figure out don't eat it.
Yeah.
There's no ingredients
more than
labeled.
6 ingredients, and that's a max, because even 6 or more is 6 is max. Got more than 6 ingredients, you're not eating what you thought you were going to eat.
Well, there's no ingredient label on an avocado.
I'm a one ingredient person, honestly. If there's more than, unless it's like that and purified water, you know what I mean, like something, but. Two tops,
There's no ingredients label on an apple well, I don't eat apples anymore anyway.
Yeah.
But there's no ingredients label on an avocado or anything like that. If you're eating healthy, you're eating healthy.
Yeah.
It's just that simple, really.
Yeah. But I think the other thing that sabotaged people, and I think people get these mind games where they're like, oh, I'm going to start this and I'm going to, they have these great plans in their head, but you really got to listen to your body cues too.
Yes.
Like, pay attention to your biofeedback systems, like when it's telling you you're really hungry or when you should stop or, whatever. And you definitely have to follow that, I think,
Yeah.
as
and,
well.
and there's different feelings of hungry. There's actual hunger when your body's actually hungry, and there's cravings. And,
there's
and you have
emotional
to,
hunger.
Yeah, and you really have
Yeah.
to learn to differentiate between
Yeah.
it, because just because you have an emotional hunger or a craving hunger
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're hungry. Doesn't mean you have to eat. And usually, at least for me now that I've figured out what's going on, if I ignore it for a few minutes,
It goes
it's
away.
gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
I think we also have to remember that the stuff we're coming off of, the foods that we're used to eating because we didn't care, didn't know any better, now we're coming off of them. And the key figure, when you mentioned but you didn't take the word, is that we have to understand, and what you were talking about, the different things, what triggers us,
Right.
okay? And like
I'm
we deal
triggered
in the
by a
world.
big banana split.
Yeah, I hear you. But, in the world that I live in and helping people in recovery, they have to learn the triggers. So if they're being triggered, now they know they got to work at whatever it is, the tool that they learned on to
Yeah.
avoid that.
I think
And
that's-
for eating is as much of an addiction than any other addiction out there.
Yeah.
And we have to change that.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. I mean, if every time you sit down to watch TV, you're triggered to grab, a bag of potato chips or nuts or
Right.
or eat anything, change that. Maybe change to all of a sudden give yourself a busy something to do with your hands while you're, maybe sort through junk mail or, whatever.
Right.
Come up with something. But kind of just to tie in that real quickly, because I know we're running out of time, but I kind of
As
like
usual.
it as a last note. But also, it's kind of psychological where it's that all or nothing. So let's say in your head, I was gonna do a 72-hour, water fast, or I was gonna do 16/8, and then you broke it and you had to break it an hour early or a day early or whatever it was. Then you beat yourself up for it and you punish yourself, and then you're more likely to rebound into some bad food.
Yes.
Every hour and accomplishment you made is worth rewarding. Don't ever
and it's
punish
still there.
yourself. Yeah, it's still
Yes,
there. So don't undo it, just because timing wasn't right.
Right.
So I think that's really big. Like, be kind to yourself. Like, truly be kind and understand that it's a journey. And, when you think about it, like, everybody looks forward to vacation. And in the end, you're going somewhere and coming back home. So the end result is you're back home. That's not what they're looking forward to. It's the journey. It's the whole
Right.
point. So if you learn to enjoy the journey, you're just going to enjoy the process all the more.
And I find it fascinating. So you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. This whole journey is just amazing to me. And learning, what I really like is learning the myths and the pitfalls and everything that we were taught that was the right way to do things by people that wanted to feed us drugs all of our life,
Yeah.
The pharmaceutical company is big into switching reality. For instance, stevia being bad, so that the manufacturers can make sugar.
Yeah.
Replace.
And there's a lot of quote studies, scientific studies that aren't scientific at all. They're sponsored by a cereal company to make eggs look bad, or they're
Yes.
sponsored by, even the fiber one was started by that whole myth started by an English physician, well-known, respected, but he was doing work in Africa, and he noticed these people were eating lots of fibrous foods and had these large poops and didn't have colon cancer, and therefore fiber equals, well, they also weren't eating seed oils or processed,
Right.
So, I mean, again, and then somebody takes this and runs with this and makes these things that are hypotheses as fact, and it's not.
Yeah,
Right.
we see what people believe is scientific fact and studies, and if you look into it, they're observational. An
Yeah.
observational study is not scientific,
No,
so you can't rely on it.
no,
But people don't know. I didn't know that until we got into this stuff.
yeah.
It's not something every
True.
day that we're taught and learn, and maybe that's some of the things that we need to be. And what this show is doing, and other shows that the podcast studio is going to be bringing on, is to bring this stuff out so people are aware.
Yeah.
Then it's their choice. Okay.
Right. Once you've been educated, it's up to you.
We can't make you do this or make you do that. We can give you the information, and I suggest that all you check that information out. Why would you just listen to us and believe everything we say, even though it's true? We know it is,
Yeah.
but you need to be responsible for yourself.
Your own advocate.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well,
So next week, what we're going to talk about is, I think, another huge myth is how so many people heard, like, if you want to lose weight, you do a lot of cardio and eat less, and how that's probably one of the worst weight loss strategies. So we're going to deep dive into that and uncover why that's not the best thing to do.
so until next week, be your best, and we'll see you then.
Great.
So you see a little bit of what's involved.